True Story Media.
Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
There has never been a better time to be a con artist. Last year, the FBI reported that criminals stole $16 billion in scams. That is a 33% jump from the year before. The agency says that they get an average of 2,000 complaints a day. Now, I'm not here to bore you with statistics. I mean, most people can't even emotionally process these large numbers. But let me tell you, many of the victims were retirees. A Vietnam veteran electrician, a retired teacher who lost everything, people in their 60s and 70s who didn't have time to earn it back. People counting on these monthly checks to pay their bills. These victims of white-collar crimes wait years, spending even more money that they don't even have on lawyers, waiting months for the trial to start, just to find out that the person who took their life savings gets away with it scot-free. These are stories that rarely make the news, and when they do hit the airwaves or your social media feed, they're gone within 48 hours. Making room for the new crisis. The 24-hour news cycle may move on, but the victims of these con artists, they're stuck. Luckily for you, I have all the time in the world. My business is reporting on con artists. And let me tell you, business is good. We're going to look at why criminals feel like they can just get away with it, and why getting away with fraud has never been easier. And we're going to show you exactly how, because with the right access and enough money, the con artist does not just escape the consequences, he gets rewarded, and the people he destroyed get left behind. Like Jerry Bush, who says that he was terrorized by a loan shark named Jonathan Braun.
That, he said, you got two choices. He says, win the lottery, or if you kill yourself, we can't come after a dead body.
Jerry Bush lost his business, his savings, his father's savings, his son's savings, and almost lost his life. How much of this did your family know about? I know that their accounts were drained, but did they realize how bad this was?
No, I mean, they knew it bad, but I think basically what was in there, I was like, hey, I said, I'm sorry for everything I've done. And 10 minutes later, I get on Facebook, tell my goodbye to the family, take a bunch of pills, and walk in the woods.
Meanwhile, the con man who took everything got away with it. A slap on the wrist. Must be nice, right? Over the next few episodes, we are going to look at multiple different cases where the con artist went to prison and got a very fast get-out-of-jail card. I'm Javier Leyva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building your online presence and getting your thing off the ground, whatever that thing is. Okay, so you're a true crime listener, you're curious, you're resourceful, you probably have a whole system for organizing information that most people would find unhinged. And if that's you, then honestly, you're already built for this. Because here's what I keep thinking about. So many of you have something you want to put out in this world, a blog, a side hustle, a business, a brand, and the only thing that's been stopping you is just the website part. Like, where do you even start? That's exactly what Squarespace is for. And it's a lot less complicated than you think. First off, the design side, they have this AI-powered tool called Blueprint AI that basically acts like a design partner. You answer a few questions about what you're building, and it helps you put something that actually looks like you. No coding, no starting from a blank screen. And if you'd rather just start from a template, they've got a whole library of gorgeous ones that you can customize to fit your brand. And then, once you've got the site, Squarespace makes it easy to actually run your business from it too. We're talking about built-in scheduling so clients can book you directly. And then once you got the site, Squarespace makes it easy to actually run your business from it too. We're talking about built-in scheduling so clients can book you directly, invoicing, online payments, everything you need to offer your services and get paid without juggling 5 different tools. It's all in there. Go to squarespace.com/pretend for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use promo code PRETEND to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Today's episode is about a con man named Jonathan Braun. Before he was a loan shark, he was a drug trafficker, a big one. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. But after Jonathan Braun's drug ring got busted, he got out of jail and built a new operation targeting small business owners all over the country. And the weapon he used wasn't drugs, it was a legal document that most people had never even heard of. Let's get back to Jerry Bush, who you heard from in the opening segment. Jerry Bush and his father owned a plumbing business in Virginia. But Jerry's not fixing toilets or installing garbage disposals. Jerry Bush was working on new construction for big projects like hotels, and he learned every part of the job while working alongside his dad. But here's something most people outside the construction world don't know. The money isn't always coming in.
And when you work for a contractor, you get paid, if you're lucky, 45 to 60 days because you're dealing with banks,
Right.
retainages, which they hold your money back to the project is complete.
Retainage. Imagine a big pot of money that a general contractor holds back until the job is finished or signed off. It's meant to protect the project, but for small subcontractors like Jerry Bush, it can mean that you could show up every day for months, pay your crew every Friday, buy materials, run the whole thing, and then wait while the money stays locked up in a process that you really can't control.
And we was losing over $350,000 that we could not get our hands on.
The money was coming eventually, but his 14 employees, they still got to eat.
You have payroll you got to make every week. You got your materials. You have all this other stuff that you have to pay.
So if you're a business owner, what do you do in a situation like that? You get a loan.
So when they present this to you, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I got to pay high interest, but it keeps my doors open and it helps.
So Jerry went to his bank, Wells Fargo, sat down, explained the whole situation, and asked for a short-term loan, just enough to keep the business going.
So I went to a Wells Fargo bank, talked to the bank. They said they could not help me, but they had a broker they could talk me into.
The bank said, sorry, can't help you, but here's this other company. You should try them. They might be able to help you out. That company was called the Richmond Group. The owner of that company was Jonathan Braun. So the bank referred you to Jonathan Braun's company?
One of the brokers from the bank, yes.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, but anyways, continue. A Bloomberg News expose, which later triggered the New York Attorney General investigation, found that brokers, many of them operating out of legitimate financial offices, were funneling desperate small business owners like Jerry Bush into these companies for big commission. Jerry Bush believes that that's exactly how he got referred to the Richmond Group. He remembers his first call with Jonathan Braun.
And they was like, hey, we can help you, but we got to earn trust. We got to make sure we can trust you.
Jerry Bush was about to take out a very high interest loan.
If you want $30,000, we're going to charge you for the first time 30% or 25%.
Basically, that $30,000 will end up costing yet another $9,000 in interest. Oh, and don't forget about those hidden fees.
So next thing you know, you might be paying $15,000 to borrow $30,000.
Think of it like a high-interest payday loan, but for small businesses.
Yes, our rates are high. Yes, you had to sign certain papers, but, we're backed by New York laws. You're protected.
But here's what Jerry Bush didn't realize. This isn't a loan. It's a purchase. Jonathan Braun is not lending Jerry money. He's buying a piece of his future earnings. He's buying a piece of whatever Jerry makes in the future. Jerry signed the papers. He didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to. And honestly, who would, right? These contracts are long. The language is confusing. And the guy on the other end of the phone made it sound like everyone does it. But buried in that stack was one page that would change everything, because it said, if we ever decide that you didn't pay us for any reason, you agree right now that you won't fight us in court. It's called a confession of judgment. Think about that. You're signing away your right to defend yourself before anything has even gone wrong. The moment Jerry signed that page, Jonathan Braun had the keys to his bank account.
And then once they get you in and you had a confession of judgment, there was no way you could get out. The confession of judgment was supposed to have been used as a last resort. If you change your number and address or everything. But John Braun figured a loophole with other ones, say, hey, we can blackmail them to get more money because we have something signed. All we got to do is get to a judge. They will find some way to say you default. And they say something new. Maybe you bought something you shouldn't have, because they have access to your bank account, everything. They watch everything that you buy. They will find a reason.
30% in interest seems kind of high, so Jerry Bush tried shopping around for a better loan.
When I done that, I got a telephone call 25 minutes after that. John Braun said that I defaulted, and then they locked my whole check account up. All right, basically what happens is they could find any reason to say that you default.
And they're just drawing it directly from your bank account.
Yes, every Monday through Friday.
I asked Jerry, when was the moment he realized that he made a bad decision?
My thing was I had a family. I had 14 employees. They had families. I was trying to take care of everybody's family. At the same time, my wife was going through cancer. I was dealing with that. I want to make sure the business was going so I could pay for her insurance. It was just hoping that something positive would happen to get me out of this, but I just got into it deeper. At the time when I think I borrowed $60,000, I had to pay him $120,000 for the $60,000.
Wow. Between 2015 and 2019, Jonathan Braun's operation issued more than 1,900 advances to struggling small businesses and collected more than $77 million from them. And you might be asking yourself, is any of this even legal? When Jonathan Braun was bleeding Jerry dry, when he was freezing his accounts, doubling his debt, threatening his family, what he was doing existed in a legal gray area because courts had been allowing it for years. So while Jerry was losing everything, Jonathan Braun could point to the stack of court rulings saying, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. And Jonathan Braun wasn't alone. The merchant cash advance industry had exploded into a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem. There were companies like Yellowstone Capital, Par Funding, Ram Capital, dozens of others, all operating under this legal gray area. And these guys, they weren't casting a wide net hoping for the best. No, they were hunting. They knew exactly who they were targeting. According to the FTC, these merchant cash advance companies specifically targeted small businesses that were experiencing financial desperation. They targeted construction companies and contractors, cash-strapped restaurants, even an urgent care doctor who was forced to shut down his facility due to these predatory loans. This story would be bad enough if we just ended it here, but Jonathan Braun didn't just financially destroy these businesses, he threatened them too. So you met Jonathan Braun directly? Was this a phone call?
Yeah, it was a telephone call, yes.
And what was that like? Kind of paint the picture there.
Well, first it was fine, to get you in, but once he was not happy, he would scream, he would threaten you. He said he would send somebody to your house, to your business. You did not know who he was messing with. He has made people disappear. He said, I'll show you. And he said, I bet you I can lock your bank account up in 25 minutes. And he did. He locked the whole Wells Fargo up in 25 minutes.
I'm reading now from a sworn declaration filed by one of his victims. Quote, "You owe me money. Give me my money now. I can literally make your life a living hell. I will destroy you. You don't know who you're dealing with right now. I know where you live. I know where your mother lives. I will take your daughters from you." Unquote. Jonathan Braun told another plumber, quote, "Be thankful you're not in New York because your family would be floating in the Hudson." Unquote.
And the bad thing was, I was scared for the first year when all this was going on. I had no protection. I mean, the Congress, police department, nobody was like, "Hey, we're going to watch out for you." I slept in my garage. I slept in different places. I had cameras set up everywhere. I stayed away from my family as much as I could for the first year because I didn't want somebody coming after me and hurt them too.
So now you're out of cash. You're so far deep into this hole. You described like your wife having cancer, all this stuff. Like, what is going on in your head at this point?
Yes, I was so deep. I didn't know what to do.
And yet he almost made it out.
I came really close paying all of them off. I got real close.
And you said you almost paid them back? If I'm doing the math correctly in my head, that's like $180,000?
Yeah, I was $7,000 for having it over with.
He was close to paying off the advance, but not close enough for Jonathan Braun.
I was actually got home. I was heading to the hospital to turn around and see my wife before she had surgery. And when I got a telephone call from Yellowstone basically saying, "Hey, you need to sign one more of these."
After Jonathan Braun and his company Richmond Capital bled Jerry dry, he threatened Jerry Bush to borrow again in order to pay him back. Jerry told me that Jonathan Braun forced his business to get a new cash advance from another company called Yellowstone Capital just to make his payments to Jonathan Braun. It was like a revolving door of never-ending loans.
So I signed another one, and he said, "Well, just sign. I'll send flyers to your wife." He said, "I can at least do that for you." And that's when I knew it got so bad that only choice I had, because he told me is that, he said, "You got two choices." He says, "Win the lottery, or if you kill yourself, we can't come after a dead body."
He told you that?
Steve Davison, Yellowstone, yes.
Oh, Steve Davison.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that is cold.
They took what money was there. They locked everything up. Then they actually got into my dad's account somehow, got his retirement. My son was 16 years old. My name was on his account. They took his money out. I had to close the business. I couldn't keep going.
He had to look his father in the eye and tell him it was over. He had to close down the business that his dad started with his own two hands. He told his employees they were losing their jobs. This was the end. Jerry knew he wasn't going to win the lottery. That means there was only one way out of this.
10 minutes later, I get on Facebook, tell my goodbye to the family, take a bunch of pills, and walk in the woods.
Oof.
Hey everybody, this is Jay Bush.
I'm about to play you the video that he posted on Facebook, and obviously Jerry is still with us, but it is heartbreaking nonetheless.
There's a lot of things going on right now that's not good at all. I used these merchant loan companies to try to save the business, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And now they're trying to take my dad's personal money, and he didn't sign them. I signed them. I take the blame for it. I did what the brokers told me to do, and he's getting punished for something that I done wrong. I gotta fix this. and I'm taking responsibility of it. It's my job to take care of it, because this will be my last video. I am taking this on me.
This is really hard to listen to.
So I'm asking everybody, please take care of my father, my son, my wife, and my mother too. Take care of them three, please. Terry, I love you. Suck. I love you too, buddy.
I said, I'm begging all my friends. I said, please don't judge me. Please take care of my family. Make sure my family is all right. I said, anybody on here, just do whatever it takes to make sure my family is all right. And I'm sorry for any inconvenience I have done. I'm not doing this to escape or run away from my problems. I'm doing it so my family can have peace.
That's scary, because you probably never even considered that
No.
prior to this, right?
I was trying to protect my family. I said from day one, it was not about me. It was trying to get where they would not be a victim anymore. They've been through enough.
When we come back from the break, Jerry Bush decides to fight back and wins. Well, sort of. When it comes to wardrobe, I always thought I had lots of options, but lots of options and nothing to wear. Well, Quince kind of fixed that for me. And yeah, I've had more than a few people ask me where I got something, so here we are. Quince goes direct to top factories and cuts out the middleman. No brand markups, no inflated retail prices, just good clothes. That cashmere is 100% Mongolian, same stuff that the luxury brands charge a fortune for. And the Pima cotton is a long staple, and it stays soft and it doesn't pill. The European jersey linen is breathable and lightweight. Everything is built to hold up to regular wear, and it still looks pretty good. And they only work with factories that meet serious standards of craftsmanship and ethical production. So it's not just good looking clothes, it's actually made right. Those linen shorts, by the way, have become my go-to, and they don't wrinkle up like the cheap linen does. They work with everything, and it didn't cost me a fortune either. So if you have a dude in your house that doesn't know what to wear, tell him to stop overcomplicating his wardrobe. You don't need a closet full of options. You just need a few pieces that actually work. And right now, go to quince.com/pretendpod for free shipping and 365 days returns. That's a full year to build your wardrobe and love it. And you will, I promise. Now available in Canada too. Don't keep settling for clothes that doesn't last. Go to Quince, quince.com/pretendpod, one word, for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/pretendpod.
It's the Paradise Podcast.
I am your host, Ryan Michelle Bethay, with my husband, Sterling.
What's up?
Join us here on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus, where we'll discuss each episode with the cast and crew of Paradise. I'll be getting all the secrets from Dan Fogelman, James Marsden, Shailene Woodley, Julianne Nicholson, and Sterling Kelby Brown. Woo! Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming.
And stream Paradise on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus.
What happened that day in the woods?
I was so dizzy. I passed out. I fell out. They found me. They took me to the hospital. Of course, mental hospital to check me.
Who found you?
The state troopers.
Really?
And once they got me where I was able to get some rest, eat something, because I hadn't ate for days, I was sitting there and I was like, I got to do something. I can't just sit here. I was out within 48 hours and I started fighting. I started calling people. I started calling lawyer's office. I mean, I was staying up 24 hours a day trying to call people.
Like, it gave you like a second wind, right?
It gave me a second wind because I was realizing that my family needed me.
You lost everything, right?
Yeah, I had to start over again. I mean, I sold everything I could sell. I was picking up side jobs. I was doing everything. And luckily, I had a good lawyer that found out about this, and they started trying to protect me as much as they could I even went in front of Congress, spoke in front of Congress. The scary part is these companies are still out here.
There is still no federal law that specifically bans merchant cash advances, and only a handful of states have banned the confession of judgment. You know, that buried piece of fine print where you unknowingly sign away your rights to fight back. Most of the country still allows this kind of stuff. But despite all this, in June of 2020, the New York Attorney General and Federal Trade Commission filed major lawsuits against Jonathan Braun and his companies for merchant cash advance schemes. The Supreme Court of the state of New York ordered Jonathan Braun to pay back everything, $77 million to be exact. The judge told them that they had 60 days to hand over their financial records. But instead of doing that, they intentionally destroyed their records, including throwing away Jonathan Braun's computer. Were you ever able to recover any of that money? Or
As it stands right now, no. John Braun hid all his money. They're trying to figure out where he hid it, trying to figure out how to sell things.
Before Jonathan Braun was a predatory lender, he was a drug trafficker, a big one too. He grew up on Staten Island, moved to Los Angeles in his 20s, and got into the early days of California's legal marijuana business. And by all accounts, it looks like he was making some money. But for whatever reason, it was greed, ambition, he walked away from the legal operation and went in a totally different direction. He became a kingpin. Between 2007 and 2010, Jonathan Braun ran an international drug smuggling operation. He and his crew were importing more than 1,000 kilograms of marijuana from Canada into the United States. That's over 2,000 pounds of weed. And they transported this through Native American reservations and vehicles with secret compartments, and then delivered the drugs to stash houses in New York City. To cover their tracks, they laundered the money back across the border into Canada. When the federal government finally caught up with him in 2010, they estimated the total gross proceeds of the operation was at $500 million. That's $500 million. Jonathan Braun was indicted in May 2010 and released on an $8 million bond. He was supposed to lay low, but instead he built Richmond Capital Group and started targeting small business owners like Jerry Bush. The courts took 8 years to sentence him. 8 years of delays, continuance, legal maneuvering, and when they finally got him in court, he got sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for drug trafficking and money laundering. Justice served, right? Well, on January 19th, 2021, on his last day in office for his first term, President Donald Trump commuted Jonathan Braun's sentence. He walked out of prison early. And that $77 million that he owed his victims? Yeah, well, that was unpaid still. But here's what he did with that money instead. According to a 2025 federal court document, Jonathan Braun spent it on a multi-million-dollar home, a personal butler, tens of thousands of dollars at a casino, a Ferrari, and a Lamborghini.
That day I was so mad. Yeah, when Trump pardoned him, and I was so upset that day they pardoned him.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about that, because
oh, it was terrible. When I found about me, I was sick. It was flashbacks. It was it messed me up because I was getting kind of better. I was kind of like start healing myself, and it was terrible. It started my nightmares up because of everything I had going with my life. I was going through terrible nightmares. My weight got uncontrollable. Actually, my weight got to almost like 370 something pounds.
With the stroke of a pen, Jonathan Braun was free, but he was still on the hook for that $77 million he owed his victims. So you'd think that this time, maybe he would lay low, stay out of trouble, maybe even start paying people back. He did not. In August 2024, police responded to a domestic violence call at Jonathan Braun's home in Atlantic Beach, New York. His wife told officers that Braun had thrown her to the floor and punched her in the head multiple times, causing what the police report described as, quote, substantial pain, bruising, and dizziness. In a separate incident a month earlier, she said he threw her from her bed onto the floor. And during one of those 2 altercations, Jonathan Braun also punched her 75-year-old father in the face, twice. While officers were on the scene, their body cameras captured 2 vehicles in the driveway, a white Lamborghini and a black Ferrari. The same 2 cars that had been running through the Easy Pass tolls without paying. Yeah, that's more than $300 in unpaid tolls. 2 months later, in January 2025, Jonathan Braun was a patient in the emergency room at a hospital in Oceanside, New York. The lab had accidentally spilled his urine sample and asked him to provide another one. Jonathan Braun began screaming profanities at the nursing staff. While still connected to his IV, he picked up the metal pole, at least 5 foot long, and swung it at the nurse manager who came to help. When security tried to escort his wife out of the room, Jonathan Braun charged towards the nurse, repeatedly threatened to fucking kill her, unquote. Security had to physically restrain him. The IV needle ripped out of his arm, yet he kept going. 1 month after that, February 2025, Jonathan Braun's lived-in nanny heard a knock on the bedroom door late at night. She thought it was maybe one of the children. Nope, it was Jonathan Braun. What happened next is documented in a sworn court testimony. She says that he sexually assaulted her. She locked herself in a bathroom, texted her husband for help, and called the police. As officers arrived at the house, Jonathan Braun told her, "Did the police ask?" Nothing happened. 1 month after that, March 2025, Jonathan Braun was at a religious service at a synagogue in Lawrence, New York. Another congregant politely asked him to stop talking during the service, and then that's when Jonathan Braun erupted. He started screaming, threatening, bringing the entire service to a halt. He walked away, came back, and got in the man's face. He said, "Do you know who I am? Do you know what I could have done to you?" Jonathan Braun was arrested. In every single one of those incidents, the assault on his wife, the attack on the nurse, the sexual assault of his nanny, the scene at the synagogue, happened after the President of the United States decided Jonathan Braun deserved to go free. In April 2025, the federal government filed 10 charges against Jonathan Braun for violating conditions of his supervised release. He is now serving an additional 3 years and 3 months in federal prison. And that $77 million? Still uncollected.
They put him in a fancy jail. You know, he's getting treated like a king. And now where he's at, I don't think he is. It irritates you as a hardworking person that you live in a country that's supposed to protect you, and the laws and the court systems let these people get by with it every day. It irritates you.
As for Jerry Bush, he's getting his life back together.
My father, like I said, he's 77 and he just now quit working, but he still trying to help us. But you know, he just kept working and working when he shouldn't have. So he didn't get to enjoy his retirement or anything because we had to start all over again.
Money is still tight, but at least they're hanging on. Jerry is helping his wife, who is now cancer-free, run her business. I know you recently lost a lot of weight. You posted about that, right?
Yeah, I had a sleeve done, and I went from 365 to 195.
Wow, man. Man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
After Braun's arrest in 2025, a White House spokesperson was asked about the commutation. Their response? Trump, quote, stands by his decision, but acknowledges that it's, quote, unfortunate when his privilege is abused. That's the White House, acknowledging that a man that they let out of prison went on to beat his wife, attack a nurse, and sexually assault his nanny. And their response was that it's unfortunate. So how does someone like Jonathan Braun get a presidential commutation in the first place? In this case, it's about who you know. Jonathan Braun and the Kushner family go way back. Braun attended a private school funded by the Kushners, the same family as Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, and one of the most powerful people in his first White House. When Jonathan Braun was arrested, his family reached out to Charles Kushner directly to make the case to the president. They also hired Alan Dershowitz, the attorney who represented Trump during his first impeachment. And then they got to work. Every single Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Dershowitz's office would get the same call from Jacob Braun, Jonathan's father. Quote, "Hi, this is Jacob Braun. I'm so upset my son is still in prison. What can you do? It's unfair. He's a good boy," unquote. Dershowitz told the New York Times it happened like clockwork every week for months. That's what access looks like. The Trump White House bypassed the Justice Department's formal screening process for pardon applicants. Trump's own former attorney general acknowledged that the pardons were being issued without any vetting from his department. And according to reporting from the Wall Street Journal, lobbyists were charging up to $6 million. During his entire first term, Trump issued 237 acts of clemency. And in just 1 year of his second term, he has already issued nearly 2,000. Jerry Bush didn't have the $750,000 for a lobbyist. He didn't have a private school connection to the president's son-in-law. He had 14 employees, a wife with cancer, a confession of judgment he didn't fully understand, and a predatory lender who told him that his only way out was to win the lottery or die. Jonathan Braun had Alan Dershowitz on speed dial, and a father who called every Friday at 3 o'clock. That's the difference.
And when it comes to pardons, candidly, one of the most unseemly parts of the end of our administration was the pardons that Donald Trump gave to cocaine traffickers, to family members, to people guilty of violent crimes.
That is Mark Short, a former chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence, on talking to Fox News.
And even Donald Trump's record when it came to pardons, it was indefensible of people getting $750,000 to lobbyists to try to gain a pardon. Trump's would have made Clinton's family blush.
Okay, wait there.
And this is just the beginning. In my next 2 episodes, we're going to look at more cases just like this one. Con artists who went to prison, got out early, and kept going. We're going to show you exactly how it happened and who they had to pay to get it. That's next time on Pretend. Before you go, I want to address something directly. Some of you are going to hear this episode and think, Javier's gotten political. Pretend never used to be like this. And here's my response to that. I've been reporting on con artists for almost 9 years now. And the story I keep running into over and over is that the system doesn't treat everyone the same. People with money and connections get outcomes that people without money and connections never see. That's not a political opinion. That's just what the evidence shows. And at some point, if I'm going to call myself a journalist, I have to follow the evidence wherever it goes, even when it's a little uncomfortable. So yes, we went there. And I want to be clear about something. This is not just a Trump story, although it is particularly bad, this administration. This is a system story. Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich in 2001. Mark Rich was a man indicted for tax evasion and illegal trading with Iran. After Mark Rich's ex-wife made a large donation to the Democratic Party and the Clinton Foundation, he got pardoned. It happened on Bill Clinton's last day in office, and Joe Biden commuted the sentence of a tax attorney that his own prosecutors called the most prolific and utterly unrepentant tax cheat in American history. That scheme generated over $7 billion in fraudulent deductions. Biden also commuted Rita Condrell, who stole $54 million from a small Illinois town, and Jimmy DeMora, an Ohio commissioner who collected nearly $500,000 in bribes, including gambling trips, prostitutes, and even a stone-fired pizza oven. The pardon power has been abused by both parties for a long time. Out in the open, and the people who pay for it are always the same. The ones who didn't have the connections to the right family, or a lawyer they could call every Friday at 3 o'clock. If this episode made you a little uncomfortable, good, it should. But I'd ask you to sit with that discomfort instead of arguing about which side is worse, because that argument is exactly what keeps the system running. If you have thoughts, the comments are open on Spotify and on social media, but be respectful with each other. You can disagree without being ugly. All right, today's episode was written and produced by me, Javier Leiva. Our theme music is by Joe Basile with thechicken.net. By the way, for those of you who wanted to hear the series, The Hand That Held Me, it was a 3-part series that I produced. It was edited, ready to go. Here's an update. I decided to pull all 3 episodes, even though it was really good. I think you would have really enjoyed it. There were some real important questions that I was asking, some news that we were going to make, but due to some circumstances that I just don't even want to get into, I decided after thinking about it, it's not worth it. So I am pulling the plug on that one. But stay tuned, because right as I was making the decision to kill that series, a new one fell on my lap, and it's about a cult. And I know you guys love cults, so stay tuned for that. All right, take care and talk to you next week.